This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined today by Howard Sanderford. He is a member of the Alabama House of Representatives, the second most senior Republican serving in that body. Sir, you were elected in 1989.
January the 10th,
I was going to say, talk to
Especially.
us about what it's been like over the last 20 plus years, almost 30 years.
Well, it's been quite a change. Of course, when I came out, the Democrats were in charge, and
Sure.
of course they ran the legislature for 136 years.
Post-Civil War.
Yep, and so when I came down, my objective was to stay until the Republicans could be in charge.
And they are now.
And now we are. So anyway,
It's
it happened in
remarkable,
2010.
though, how fast it happened. I mean, in 2009, the Democrats were still firmly in control.
Oh, yes.
In one election, it was a complete landslide and a flip. Did you see that coming?
Absolutely not. I
right.
assumed it would have been this last election.
Okay.
Based on all the political strategists
Right.
and all that we talked to, and we figured it would have been this last election where we
Sure.
took control.
I understand.
So that's the reason that I wanted to be here until the Republicans took control.
So how
now,
so how has it been now being in the majority party?
well, it's been a whole lot different.
A whole lot.
Number one, when you lead and you're running the place, it's a whole lot more work than it was before.
And be
I
careful
can tell
what you wish for.
As a committee chairman, I'm committee chairman of boards, agencies, and commissions, which basically has more bills than any other committee here.
Wow.
And you feel the responsibility of making sure no bad bills get out of that committee. In the old days, when we weren't in charge, I could just help kill bills.
Right.
And it really didn't matter a whole lot because they were going to pay us anyway.
Right,
Republicans
right.
stop it, but about all we could do was slow it down.
Right.
But now that you've got the responsibility of making sure that no bad bills get out of your committee, because I tell the committee members that this thing could have wings if we
Right.
don't do our job in committee.
So it's been about 4 or 5 years now since y'all have taken control on the Republican
it's the
side.
fifth year.
Yeah. Do you feel as if, to the extent there were growing pains, you've grown up, or are you still kind of finding your sea legs?
Well, it was a challenge to find the sea legs to
Right.
get started and go and take over. And of course, once we took over in November, we had a special election right after that and put all the ethics bills and all.
November of 2010-11.
10,
Right.
yeah. And so anyway, my opinion was we may have done those a little bit too quickly. I didn't think we had, we got elected November and December. We were there putting those bills in place. And I thought what I've seen is sometimes legislation needs to mellow a year or so, and then it passes.
It's the unintended consequences.
Unintended consequences.
So have you been able to revise, amend, tinker with bills passed in those halcyon days when you first took over?
Hadn't tinkered a whole lot with them because you start trying to change bad things or anything that the media is for and all a big supporter of. It's difficult to do sometimes.
Let me ask you though, being in complete control, which the Republicans are right now, governor's a Republican, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, it's all on y'all. And so what's happening is when you look at the budget, there's a budget deficit. And you have a Republican governor who's calling for new revenues through taxes. You have a House run by Republicans who may or may not consider it new taxes, and you have a Senate who seems to be completely against new taxes.
Yeah.
So how is that all playing out? You can't point fingers anymore because you're all in the same club.
Well, and that's true, and that's part of the process of governing. That we, as someone said, and we asked for this job.
Right.
Unfortunately, at a very difficult time because, for instance, the general fund, is the common deal. We've kicked the can down the road a long time. This didn't just happen.
Right.
But I have to give this governor credit. He is causing people to recognize the problem. And there are three major problems in the general fund budget. As you probably know, you got the Medicaid, you got mental health, you got prison corrections reform and all
Although
needed.
it seems as if on prison reform, that issue is being resolved. I mean, there's still some funding questions, but you're on board with that. Medicaid, there were some reforms recently on Medicaid, although the question of expansion continues to kind of haunt the state of Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's the question of education. And you know better than I that the education budget is in surplus by $250 million, whereas the general fund's in deficit by about $250 million. Their budgets are not unified, so the question becomes, do we unify the budgets?
Well, of course, the budget, that's been a long debate. The budget, should the budget be unified? Right. The answer is yes, it should be.
You're saying that? You believe it should be unified?
I'm saying it should be,
oh,
but
wow.
The problem with unifying it is people didn't trust the legislators in the past, so that's the reason all the money was earmarked for education. You know, 91, 92%
that's right.
of the education trust fund budget is sales tax and income tax. So those were the growth taxes.
Right.
Then you have a general fund. I think we're one of 3 states that have the 2 budgets.
That's right. You're right.
And so there's no growth taxes in there. The growth used to be, the biggest growth was interest from the
right.
trust fund, and now you know what's happened to interest. So now the biggest item happens to be insurance premium tax, which is just, you know, not that you can build on that much.
So is it time, well, you're for unification, but short of unification, is it time to start moving some of those growth taxes into the general fund?
Well, first of all, is the debate, does the Education Trust Fund have $250 million? We've discussed this in the leadership meeting, and basically it does not. We put in place a rolling reserve fund, and if you tried to take $250 million, you're basing that on what you expect the future to be.
I understand.
Which is what got us in the trouble. See, with the Democrats in control, they had proration 6 out of the last 10 years, because they used the projections of what was going to happen. And basically, you know, we've really not recovered from the 2008 budget. Our budget, Education Trust Fund budget back in 2008 was like $6.8 billion.
Right.
This year, it struggled to get to $5.9 billion.
Right.
That's $900 million less than you had for Education Trust Fund 7 years ago.
Right.
So that means people are not making as much money.
It's a common
They're not
story.
Paying oh yeah.
Right, throughout the nation.
That's true. We're not unique.
But what is interesting to me is it's hard to deny that the country's economy is on the mend. Alabama is doing pretty well economically. The jobless rate is down. So why is it when the economy seems to be doing better, we're still not seeing the revenues come in?
Well,
is it the question of growth taxes versus non-growth taxes?
Well, and people are not making the big bucks they made in times past. You know, every company has cut people. You know, I could tell you what an economist said several years ago when this happened, that number one, people are a whole lot more productive. You know, you've got the internet. You don't have to pick up the phone and play telephone tag for 3 hours. Send an email, gets answered, you know, fairly reasonable times. But anyway, number one, and then people started saving money when a fifth of the people were unemployed or underemployed. Everybody knew, I'm quoting from an economist.
Please, quote away.
But anyway, bottom line, he's saying that everybody, when 1 out of 5 people either not employed or think they're going to be unemployed, people are not going to spend money. They start hoarding money, and they don't spend money then. So that's one of the major problems. Second thing is, you know, people are more productive now. And one of the other items he was saying, that the people are not available, the skill set is not there that companies want to hire. So anyway, it's a combination of a number of things.
Will you come back when we're back? I'd love to have you back on the program.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Howard Sanderford. He is a member of the Alabama House of Representatives. My name is Brad Pomerance. I want to thank you so much for joining us on Charter One Leadership.